This is CBC Here and Now.
Grand Bank deaths. The community tries to cope with a recent spike in suicides.
Premium pain. Government is examining why you're paying $300 more than other people in Atlantic Canada for auto insurance.
Mud Lake disaster assistance. Is the $3 million the province is putting forward enough to satisfy residents?
Clouds and rain build in across the province from west to east over the next 24 to 36 hours, and then it's a damp couple of days. Special weather statements in place for some. The details are coming up.
Our top story tonight is a tragic one. The community of Grand Bank has seen a recent spike in the number of people taking their own lives.
Yes, 6 people in the town of 2,300 have killed themselves in just over a year. Here Now's Chris O'Neill-Yates has our story.
What is particularly confounding and surprising and shocking for the people in the community is the fact that the profile of those who have taken their own lives doesn't fit what you'd normally expect. The mayor told us that these people were in age ranging from their 30s to their 60s. Professional people to income families, salt of the earth, he described them, people who seem to have everything going for them. Now, what the mayor and other people in the community are starting to do is hold series of meetings to get people to come together and talk about the stigma surrounding mental illness. And they've also appealed to government to get more resources in the community. They've managed to get a walk-in clinic, an extra social worker, and they're also trying to raise awareness. Now, as well, I spoke to Health Minister John Haggie, who commends the community for doing this, but when I asked him what the cause might be, he said, really, there is no one cause for this cluster of suicides in Grand Bank that anyone seems to be able to pinpoint.
As yet, there's been no single factor identified. With time and reflection, we may uncover some, but that's speculation at the moment. There's certainly nothing there at the moment that would suggest that we have a particular problem in a very localized area. It's just a geographical cluster.
So leaders in the community are reaching out. They're saying to people, this is not a weakness. If you need mental health services, come to us. And they're, as I mentioned, holding meetings, one tomorrow night. And they're also telling people they can come and talk to people anonymously. What they're trying to do, essentially, is to prevent 6 suicides in the last 12 to 14 months from becoming 7 or even more. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, tonight, people in St. John's are reacting to the deadly violence and racial attacks in the United States this past weekend. White nationalists marched through the streets of Charlottesville, Virginia, clashing with counter-demonstrators. A 32-year-old woman was killed and dozens injured. Now, people here want to take a stand against racism and honor the young activist who died. For that story, we go to Here and Now's Zach Gowdy, who is live in Bannerman Park. So, Zach, set the scene for us.
Well, Carolyn, tonight at 7 p.m. people will gather here for a community vigil, a counter rally in response to what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia this weekend. This afternoon there was a sign-making workshop at the St. John's Status of Women Council office, and other groups such as the Canadian Federation of Students have pledged to be here with anti-racist literature. Now, other Canadian cities such as Toronto and Saskatoon have held similar rallies in the last few days. I can tell you the impetus for tonight's rally began on Facebook among a group of women who are running as candidates in the upcoming St. John's municipal election and other politically active women in the city. Now, one of those women is Lauren Hayes. I spoke with her today. She told me tonight's rally has a dual focus. Firstly, to show that this community emphatically rejects racism and white supremacy in particular, to show that those attitudes and symbols and language will not be tolerated or normalized, and to show solidarity with racialized members of this community, people of color, and others who are deliberately targeted by the Nazi and white supremacist groups who demonstrated in Charlottesville this weekend. Of course, the other focus is to memorialize the young activist who was killed while standing up for those same values. Heather Heyer, 32 years old, died when a young man described as a Nazi sympathizer drove his car into a crowd of counter-protesters in Charlottesville on Saturday. Here is Lauren Hayes describing why both focuses tonight are so important.
We're going to have Heather's photo there, of course, because a big part of this event is to memorialize her, and her activism is sadly and ultimately what ended her life. So for a lot of political activists like myself, it's important that we make her name heard and share her story, but also, again, to show racialized and marginalized individuals that we won't tolerate this kind of behavior and that we're here for them.
Now, even though these events took place far away from St. John's, Lauren Hayes says that no Canadian should consider themselves or their community immune to racial violence. Indeed, we need only to look back to the Quebec mosque shooting of early this year for a tragic example of that. Again, we will check back here on Here and Now a little closer to the start time. Again, the rally begins at 7 p.m. in Bannerman Park. Reporting live in St. John's, I'm Zach Gowdy for Here and Now.
Well, it's a battle that happened 250 years ago, and now an amateur historian in St. John says more needs to be done to recognize the soldiers who died in the Battle of Signal Hill. Harry Young says he's found the spot where 30 French soldiers were buried.
Graves could be right there or right there.
Young is a veteran himself, and he used the account of British sailor Aaron Thomas to locate the area described in the book. It's between Signal Hill and Kitty Vitty. He believes that these marks on these rocks show the place where French soldiers were buried.
A professional stonemason, as you can see. It's like buried treasure. It's like Treasure Island. I mean, to know that, that just by searching these rocks that I found a mark that told me they were there. To me, it's just, I can't describe this feeling, it's so beautiful.
Now, he was told that the area falls outside of Parks Canada's jurisdiction. He doesn't want to see the area excavated. He just wants people to recognize the fallen soldiers buried there.
I'd like to see the government of France, the government of Canada, and the government of Newfoundland protect this site and have a monument dedicated to these people. To me, in my heart, it's just as important as Beaumont Hamel is to Newfoundland. And we have dead French soldiers here in Newfoundland, and we have dead Newfoundlanders on French soil in France. And I would like the area protected. I would like to see a monument put here dedicated to these poor French soldiers. They were only kids. They were only little kids from 12 to 16, 17 years old who came here, who fought for France. For any reason, I'd go fight for Canada.
The province is making up to $3 million available in disaster relief assistance for residents of Mud Lake. The Labrador community, which sits in the middle of the Churchill River, was hit by severe flooding in mid-May. Government says those who applied for assistance will be called in the coming days about their claims. Residents have until August 17th to apply for help. The province says it'll work with the federal government to find more money to cover extraordinary items such as vehicles and seasonal homes. So what do residents of Mud Lake make of this news? Well, they're divided. We'll talk to one of them live in about 25 minutes.
And still with Labrador, residents of the small community of Williams Harbour are relocating. The province announced today that 100% of the community residents who are eligible to relocate have taken the formal steps to do so. Government will spend about $4 million on the move, but it's estimated it'll save almost double that in the next 20 years. Permanent residents can receive up to $270,000 per household to assist with relocation.
Drivers in this province feeling the pain of high insurance premiums were given some reason for hope today. The provincial government released the terms of reference for a long-awaited review of the auto insurance system, and that's especially welcomed by those in the taxi industry.
Very glad to see it's finally come forth. We as an industry have been waiting for this for well over 4 years.
Now, the CBC's Terry Roberts reports now on what prompted this review and what it could mean for drivers.
Motorists in this province have long complained about insurance rates, and the situation only got worse last year when the provincial government slapped a 15% sales tax on premiums. Well, it may be painful to see this, but this graph tells the story.
The average yearly premium in Newfoundland and Labrador, $1,100 before taxes. In the rest of Atlantic Canada, below $800. Why such a disparity? Is it our bad driving, the absence of a cap on soft tissue injury claims, or maybe our higher rates of drunk driving? The government is asking the Public Utilities Board to find out and attempt to bring our rates more in line with our Atlantic neighbours.
We're looking forward to some concrete steps that we can move forward to decrease the cost insurance in the province.
The PUB received its marching orders today. The terms of reference include separate reviews of completed insurance claims for private passenger vehicles and the taxi industry. It's hoped the review will shed some light on the problem.
We've heard the concerns of the taxi industry about the unsustainable burden of high insurance premiums.
We are looking at rates right now that are driving us out of business faster than we could pick up customers. We are to the point now that if something drastic doesn't happen, that by 2018 there will be no taxis in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
The province wants recommendations on how to reduce claim costs and premiums, including the possibility of capping payouts for minor injuries, as opposed to a deductible. The PUB will also compare insurance systems in other provinces, carry out a review of mandatory third-party liability of $200,000, review whether accident benefits coverage should be mandatory, and shine a spotlight on the profitability of the insurance industry. At the same time, the provincial government will also explore ways to improve highway safety, reduce accidents, and encourage more competition. Right now, 3 or 4 companies dominate the insurance business.
I don't think they're, gouging people in Newfoundland at all. I think it's just the product itself needs to be reviewed, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of it.
It's the first review of the insurance system in about a dozen years, and it will be quick. The provincial government says it wants to implement changes by the fall of next year. And if you're one of those struggling with high insurance rates, those changes can't come soon enough. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
A man accused in the attempted murder of his ex-girlfriend in Bay Roberts appears to still want to plead guilty. Jason King allegedly stabbed his former girlfriend at the Dollarama store in March of last year. Here now's Glenn Payette reports.
Today at Supreme Court in St. John's, 47-year-old Jason King said he wants to get this matter over with quickly. King is charged with aggravated assault and attempted murder for allegedly attacking his ex-girlfriend at the Dollarama in Bay Roberts last year. During a court appearance in June and again today, King made it clear he wants to plead guilty to some of the charges he's facing. King is representing himself. Because of the seriousness of the case, Justice Donald Burridge has been encouraging King to get a lawyer. Today, Burridge said, "I implore you to get legal advice." King said, "I understand it's not in my best interest to represent myself, but I've chosen to do so. I guess it's my ego." He's also charged with assaulting his ex-girlfriend in Spaniards Bay the day before the Dollarama incident. It was worked out today that between now and King's next court appearance in September, Crown Prosecutor Aaron Matthews will present King with the facts of the case as the prosecution sees them and with a suggested sentence. King can then decide if he accepts those facts and the sentence and could plead guilty. But if he doesn't agree with the Crown, a 5-day trial has been set for early next year. King also told the court today, "I feel there are mitigating circumstances that led up to what happened. I've been incarcerated for 17 months and my side hasn't been revealed. It seems my side is irrelevant." Burridge responded, "Your side is relevant because you are presumed innocent until the charge is proven." Near the end of the proceedings today, King told the court he would like to have this dealt with in September. Burridge told King that as the judge, he doesn't have to accept anything that might get worked out between King and the prosecution. Glenn Payette, CBC News, St. John's.
A man is in custody tonight facing charges that he approached girls and asked them for sex in a St. John's park. The 30-year-old man is accused of sexual assault and sexual interference. He's scheduled to appear in court tomorrow morning. The park where the incident happened hasn't been named publicly, but police have increased patrols in all city parks. There has been one formal complaint. However, police believe more than one teenage girl has been approached. The constabulary is asking people to come forward if they were approached by the man or know of anyone who was solicited.
Well, if you live in St. John's and have ever made the suggestion that road crews should start doing maintenance work at night, well, your wish is about to come true. The city plans to do overnight grind and patch work in the downtown core starting on Monday. The work will take place from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. for much of the next week on Water Street, Duckworth Street, and New Gower Street. The city says those streets tend to be very busy with traffic during daytime hours, especially in the summer. The contractor is Pyramid Construction, and it suggested the work be done overnight. Parking meters will be bagged in the construction area so that crews have the full width of the street to work with. The city says there will obviously be noise associated with the work, but it should only be for short periods of time and shouldn't be any worse than winter snow clearing. Well, if road work keeps you up at night, maybe you turn to Kijiji to pass the time.
Yes, and you never know what you'll find there for sale. Lots of strange things, including this.
You're looking at an 8-foot-long, 700-pound stuffed polar bear. It belongs to Mervyn Randall of Grand Falls, Windsor.
Yeah, Randall says he's a self-taught taxidermist, and this is just one of the many animals he's stuffed over the years.
Yes, but now he says it's time for this bear, which came to him from Labrador. It's time for that bear to move on.
So if you have $12,000 kicking around you want to put down, Randall says this is all yours.
Maybe we'll take up a little collection around here, you know. What you got in your wallet, Ryan?
No, not 12 grand.
$12,000.
Yep. And he told the CBC's Martin Jones that he's already gotten some interest. Apparently, there are a lot of collectors out there who are willing to pay big bucks for a big bear.
Up next, we go to Corner Brook to hear why there was a union rally late this afternoon prompted by frustrations over the construction of a long-term care center in the city.
And later we'll tell you about some people in Labrador who are setting an example by recycling the products that often just end up in the local dump.
Ryan's here now to look at the forecast, but before we get to that, we have, guess.
Dun, 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 dun. Let me see, is it going to be whales, Carolyn? Because we never have any whales on the show.
Never,
we haven't
never.
whales in a long time.
But what's better than one whale breaking through the surface of the water?
2 whales?
2 whales, yes.
Have a look at what the folks at O'Brien's Boat Tours in Bay Bulls were able to catch yesterday. So let's watch that again.
1 breach.
And there's the second breach.
Excellent. You don't often see that.
No.
It's rare enough to catch 1 breach on camera.
But yeah, there you go. And you can hear by the screams, they're pretty
Delighted,
impressed, you know.
Yes.
What a season it has been, and it's fantastic that technology has come to the point where we can enjoy it as well.
Yes.
With all this great footage that is at our fingertips here. So thanks to O'Brien's for sharing that. Great evening for a boat tour. It was a great day on the island today and across most of the province. A live look right now at Rogers Cove, which is on the north coast there, the Bay of Exploits, straight north of Gander. Beautiful evening there. You can see the sun is out, temperatures near 20 degrees, a light northerly wind. And it really depends on how close you are to the water. When you look at the current temperatures, just north of Rogers Cove is Twillingate, right in those onshore winds, just 16 degrees. It's 14 in St. Anthony, 12 in Cartwright. But as you work your way inland, we're into the 20s from Corner Brook to Badger to Gander, and 22 in St. John's right now, just 12 in Labrador City as our next system rolls in there with clouds and showers. And the clouds have been building up a little bit along the west coast today into central Newfoundland over the last little bit as well. But staying fairly quiet through the overnight. It's tomorrow when we'll see the clouds and the showers really marching in across the island as this low moves in. And yeah, we are still watching hurricane, yes, now Category 1 strength Hurricane Gert, which will move over the Grand Banks and south of the island. But again, some of the moisture associated with this system and that hurricane will be pulling into that system that's going to be rolling in. And so the two will certainly be holding hands over the next couple of days. And here's how it is going to play out. So very quiet tonight across the island. Some building clouds over the southwest. A chance of a shower for Port aux Basques up to the Port au Port by tomorrow morning. Heaviest rain overnight will be Labrador City, where we could pick up 15-20 millimeters. And some showers into Churchill Falls. And it looks like Happy Valley Goose Bay will stay dry, at least to start the day tomorrow. Temperatures near 11 degrees there, and it's anywhere from 8 to 12 degrees across most of the island to start the day. Winds are going to be light as we roll throughout the day. Again, the rain will spread in from southwest to northeast. I think this model perhaps a little early on the showers arriving, but it is certainly a late afternoon chance for Grand Falls, Windsor, and back down towards the Burin Peninsula, and then over towards, say, Daniels Harbor, Port au Choix, and Happy Valley Goose Bay into some afternoon showers as well. Staying dry for St. John's, Bonavista Vista Bay, the Bay of Exploits, St. Anthony, and southeastern Labrador until tomorrow evening. And then, yes, the rain will arrive, and we are going to be seeing winds in from the southeast, so some onshore fog rolling in as well. By the time we get into the Thursday morning time period, I think the heaviest rains are going to be setting up on Thursday for the northern peninsula, southeastern parts of Labrador, and just some lingering shower activity for central and eastern Newfoundland, but far from a washout, the west included there as well, where I think we're looking at more scattered shower chances for Thursday. So special weather statements are in effect for the northern peninsula east side and Red Bay to Lanse-Claire, and that is because that's where we'll likely see the heaviest rain setting up beginning tomorrow night, but continuing through the day Thursday and even into Thursday night. And we'll talk more about that setup over the next couple of days in your long range, so stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, we will start near 12 with a mix of sun and cloud in St. John's. We'll increase the clouds, but still see temperatures near 20 degrees. Winds will really become southeasterly into the later parts of the day. So again, some onshore fog through the day. Fog will roll inland a little bit more prevalent as we roll through tomorrow night. 22 degrees, Grand Falls, Windsor through Gander. And again, I think those shower chances for the afternoon, slight risk for Grand Falls, Windsor, more so from the Bayvert Peninsula, Harbour Breton, and areas to the south and west. You can see where the clouds and showers will dominate over the west coast for the afternoon. There are those showers in the west. Late afternoon arrival in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and a late day chance for the southeast. That is your forecast. And now long range is still ahead, Peter.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, members of the Canadian Union of Public Employees held a late afternoon rally on the West Coast. They're frustrated with plans to build a long-term care centre in Corner Brook using a public-private partnership. Here now's Colleen Connors reports.
UP members marched all through this parking lot here of the long-term care centre in Corner Brook just moments ago. Nearly 100 people have turned up for this rally today, and you can see that it's still going on behind me. Speeches are still going on with everyone outside. Now, this is the first time that the CUPE's Trojan horse replica has been in Corner Brook. And of course, this Trojan horse has a large poster on the side of it that says that P3's the Trojan horse of liberal healthcare. Now, people are attending this rally today, of course, because they have a big issue with the way the province is doing the private-public healthcare system when it comes to building the new long-term care centre here in Corner Brook. CUPE President Wayne Lucas says this type of partnership, well, it ends up costing more money down the road and putting people out of work. The union believes P3s will change the quality of healthcare in this province. Government now has been promising a new hospital and long-term care centre in Corner Brook for years. And the plan is to start construction of that long-term care centre this fall. The union believes the private-public partnership will cost twice as much money. Now, government says it's looking for better ways to improve the province's services, but also watching its cash flow. Now, Transportation and Works, they issued a statement saying that hands-on health care will be provided by the public sector workers. That doesn't change. It will happen now and will continue to do so. But watching the taxpayers' dollar while reducing the province's deficit, that does require partnerships with the private sector. Government says that the P3 approach means that the private sector takes on the risk of financing, and it also means that the project is done on time and on budget. Now, rallies like this will continue to happen on a province-wide tour this summer. The Trojan horse replica will make its way to other long-term care centres on the West Coast. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, coming up next, we'll go live to Labrador to find out what people in Mud Lake are saying about the money government is handing over to help them rebuild after flooding devastated their community. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, as you heard earlier in the show, money will soon be headed to people in Mud Lake who have property damage from flooding a few months back. The province says there's close to $3 million available from the Disaster Financial Assistance Program, and so far government says more than 40 people have applied for a share of it. Now, Melissa Best chairs the Improvement Committee in Mud Lake. She joins me now live from Happy Valley Goose Bay. So, Melissa, let's start with reaction to this news. What are you hearing from residents?
Well, we met today with government officials and the people that are still displaced from their residences over in Mud Lake, and it's generally, you know, we're still waiting because we still don't have our assessments, and there are still people that don't know what damages are done. We're anticipating to hear in the next day or two from government again. So people are, you know, they're still a little bit. They're anxious to see what dollar amount is going to come forward to try and help people get back home.
So still some uncertainty, but do you think that $3 million will be enough?
I never even sat down and thought about the dollar amount, but there's a lot of damage. I mean, we do have several homes that, you know, are completely destroyed, and you know, in the beginning we thought that motorized vehicles and things would be brought in, but we don't even know if that's going to be happening now. So $3 million, it doesn't sound like a lot of money when you're talking about approximately 40 claims. So it's a start, and you know, MHA Trimper told us today that, you know, if worse comes to worse and we get more damages in there, like they're going to lobby the federal government again to see what they can do to help.
Yeah, and the deadline to make a claim is 2 days from now. Do you expect anyone else will come forward?
Well, we just heard that there were actually claims submitted today, so yeah, I mean, there's very likely people may still. I mean, I know the residents in Mud Lake, but there's also the Mud Lake Access Road and the Lower Valley in Happy Valley Goose Bay here that had some damage. So maybe there might be some more claims come in, and you know, they have about a 36-hour window now to get their claim submitted. So yeah, I mean, there might be. I mean, like I said, there were claims as late as today gone in.
Now, government is providing this money on the assumption that the flooding was a natural disaster. And if that Winnipeg report being done right now says the cause wasn't natural, that Nalcor is to blame, can you still make future claims, or is it just a one-shot deal?
Well, that question came up today. I'm sure it'll come up again tonight because we're meeting with the same government officials this evening in Mud Lake. That question did come up, and they couldn't answer. They couldn't say for sure because they said that'll be a totally different thing. Like if this is a man-made disaster, they don't know what route they'll take because the question was thrown out, like what if this happens again next year, let's just say, and they couldn't clearly answer us. So, you know, we're still got a lot of uncertainty in regards to the whole process, and it's a whole lot to consume in a few hours. I mean, we had a few hours to prepare for this meeting, and we have a few hours to gather thoughts from it. So, yeah, there's still a lot of skepticism, and I think we deserve to be skeptical after this point. I mean, we're tailing the 14th week of little to no contact with government. I mean, we have our few that have been working behind the scenes, but, you know, we've been hounding them daily, you know, to get some answers for us. So yeah, we are still skeptical, and we are worried that, I mean, this is something, you know, some people may want to wait until the end of September when this independent assessment is out to see if in fact they want to take whatever the government is offering.
And there was a talk of a class action lawsuit. Do you know where things stand with that?
Well, I do know that the class action lawsuit is still in place. I personally don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that the lawyers involved will be looking at all documents that the government forward before some claimants actually, you know, agree to the terms and conditions that are going to be offered by the provincial government.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with us about this. Really appreciate it. Melissa Best chairs the Improvement Committee in Mud Lake.
Up next, we'll tell you about some people in Labrador who are setting an example by doing it themselves when it comes to recycling. Welcome back to Here and Now. Recycling isn't an easy thing to do in a small isolated community like Happy Valley Goose Bay. While a can and bottle recycler has been there for the past 20 years, there aren't many options for things like cardboard or other materials. Well, now some residents are taking things into their own hands. Here Now's Jacob Barker has more.
More 2 weeks work here.
Here, behind a bakery, something is growing.
Cottage cheese and a lot of yogurt gets eaten in my house, and milk and mushrooms, and even like baby shower, baby soap can get recycled.
A small space, too small probably.
Making room.
This is home to the Happy Valley Goose Bay recyclers.
They're doing a good job, like, you know, so the people are still turning up and doing it. They need a bigger place already.
Recycling is not an everyday activity for the average Labradorian.
50-50, I think. 50% of the town wants to do it, 50% of the town is, I don't know what they want to do.
The system is taking advantage of unused space. What's collected here fills space on trucks that unload in the town.
Otherwise, it'd be an empty truck going back, and now there's recyclables going to the Newfoundland stream down in Deer Lake. So it's, yeah, backhauls are great, right? It's good.
It costs about $75 a pallet to ship. When residents drop off their cardboard and other materials, they're asked for a $10 donation.
If people do, great. If people don't, well, then this will kind of fall apart, right?
It's something that people in this community don't have and want.
And that's the struggle with it all, because you got no money. The provincial government's not in on it. Municipal government's not in on it. It's completely and utterly a grassroots movement.
I think if government agencies stepped up and said, right, we're going to start a recycling program, I think everybody would get into it. I think it's not hard to get into it, and people know they need to recycle.
Driven by passion, the hope is that something from these grassroots grows, and the feeling is positive.
It's all coming together slowly and surely.
Jacob Barker, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Time now to take a look at the weather. Everyone's keeping an eye on good old Gertie.
Yeah, that's right. Spinning around in the Atlantic and, of course, gaining strength over the last 24 hours has gone from a tropical storm when we last chatted to a Category 1 storm that's packing sustained winds of 130 kilometers per hour, gusts up to 160 now. So this is a strong storm and continuing to gain strength this evening. Now, it will start to weaken as it rolls into cooler waters. Slowly but surely here. There is your timeline. That is the current check, Category 1 storm. Likely remains a Category 1 tonight, in through the day tomorrow. And then as it moves into the Grand Banks on Thursday, may still have Category 1 strength, but will be transitioning to post-tropical, which means it will no longer be fueling itself from the water, and it will be moving off and out to sea, out for the fish, as we roll into the Friday time period. Now, with that track, again, not expected to have any impact, very little impact, I should say, on land. We will be seeing it influencing our weather, though, as it helps to feed some moisture into our next system, which is rolling in from the west. And rain again spreads in across the island. By the time we get to Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at shower chances. Grand Falls, Windsor to the Baywert Peninsula, back across to the Burin Peninsula, and then up towards Happy Valley Goose Bay. Everywhere else to the northeast of that stays dry for the most part on Wednesday. Temperatures are going to be cooler, obviously, where that rain arrives first. 14 in Lab City, 17 to 18 degrees in the southwest, but temperatures near and into the low 20s and into the high teens for most places ahead of the rain. Now, for Wednesday evening into the overnight, there's our first low that's moving in. There's Gert, which will be, again, bringing some added moisture, some added fuel into this system that will be moving over the island on Thursday. Right now, it looks like the steadiest rains on Thursday will be lining up with the Northern Peninsula and southeastern Labrador. That's where Environment Canada has already issued a special weather statement, because up to 50 millimeters is looking possible by the time we get to Friday with that heavier rain setting up there. With southeasterly winds setting up on Thursday, it looks like temperatures are going to be capped in most places in the mid-teens on the island, perhaps a little bit warmer, and even a patch of sun or two for the Burin Peninsula, not completely ruling out a little bit of sun breaking in and across the Avalon as well, but certainly the clouds dominating, a good chance of seeing some showers on Thursday. 15 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, 17 in Lab City. This is where things are interesting. As the system moves off, we're going to be seeing this feed of moisture coming in, and forecast models are still at odds at just how much moisture will be at the ready as that system starts to depart and basically this feed of moisture comes in from the north. I think either way, it's going to be a wet day from central Newfoundland down the northeast coast to St. John's. The question is just how much rain we're going to see. We will be seeing clearing skies across Labrador and western Newfoundland, as well as the south coast through the day on Friday. Just a little taste of what I'm looking at with the forecast models. This is the American forecast model. You can see with a heavy bullseye here over the northern peninsula, southeastern parts of Labrador by Friday evening. Not a lot of rain down the northeast coast. This is the European model, which has a much more healthy spread of that 20 to 30, 40 millimeter amounts right down that northeast coast by Friday evening. So just a little bit of uncertainty here with that moisture coming in from the North Atlantic. Gert will have a lot to say with how much rain we see. But again, I think all those areas that I mentioned will be damp for Friday either way. The good news, Saturday looks like a beauty. Sunday we'll see increasing clouds and more showers rolling in from the west. And for Labrador, Friday, Saturday looking pretty good with showers again arriving through the day on Sunday.
Well, it's time now for our young athlete of the day, who coincidentally is also celebrating a birthday. Nathan Chubbs from the Goulds is turning 3 today.
Yes, Nathan loves to play soccer with the under-4 Timbits.
Way to go, Nathan, and happy birthday. You're today's young athlete of the day.
At Bannerman Park in St. John's, people have begun to arrive for a protest tonight against racism, Nazi ideology, and the deadly violence we saw in the United States this weekend. We'll hear what they have to say after the break.
We're going back to Benjamin Park in St. John's now, where a rally against racism is soon getting underway. It's a reaction to the dramatic events in Charlottesville, Virginia, where white nationalists clashed with counter-demonstrators over the weekend, leaving one person dead and scores injured. Here and now, Zach Gowdy is standing by at the rally. So, Zach, what's happening there now?
Well, just now, many folks have begun to arrive, some carrying signs that were made this afternoon at the St. John's Women's Status of Women's Council office here in the city. Guys, can I just ask your names real quick?
My name's Ask.
You?
My name's Isaiah.
And please, show us your signs if you can. Ask, why don't you tell us about some of the things that you guys wanted to express here this way?
So we wanted to be visible and show our support for the people in Charlottesville, because having such a thing happen, it's really hard to, sure, you can know that people support you elsewhere, but unless you can see them, it's hard to tell that people are there and have your back.
Isaiah, what was going through your mind when you were watching this unfold, as we all were on television screens and online this weekend?
It was just really heartbreaking. It's sort of sad to see history repeating itself, and it will do so until we learn our lessons. So hopefully now we're learning our lesson.
You guys were at the sign making workshop this afternoon. What sorts of things were people there? What was the conversation going on while you were making these signs?
We talked about sort of the politics in America versus Canada, and the differences, and how we really want to be a country that can show our values and show how we want to live.
And at the same time, I mean, do we in Canada feel like the sort of thing we saw happen in Charlottesville could or could not happen here? I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Isaiah?
Yeah, I think it could happen here, because there's a lot of harboring negative thoughts and negative emotions that people are afraid to address or just acknowledge that they have bigoted ideas. And so I think it happens in Canada, just it's not as publicized as America.
And just finally, how important is it to get out there, even again in a place where such attitudes might not be as prevalent or as publicly visible as in certain places in the States, places like what we saw happening this weekend? Why is it important for you to still get out and make sure that in St. John's people see these messages and hear the kinds of things you were talking about earlier tonight?
Having people see that people from all around the world and in different countries support them is really important, and having that with them can help them carry on with what they're trying to fight for.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate all of you joining us on short notice. Thanks for sharing with us this evening, and good luck tonight at the rally.
Thank you.
And as you can see, just over our shoulders, in fact, getting set up here at the bandstand. There are more signs, more people arriving. Things are getting started at 7 o'clock. Plenty of time to join if you'd like to be here as well. Reporting live in St. John's, I'm Zach Gowdy for Here and Now.
Well, thanks, Zach. And speaking of Charlottesville, late-night television is usually a platform for political comedy, but the jokes were put on pause last night when late-night hosts got serious about the events in Virginia.
No, The Tonight Show isn't a political show. It's my responsibility to stand up against intolerance and extremism as a human being. What happened over the weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia was just disgusting. The fact that it took the president 2 days to come out and clearly denounce racists and white supremacists is shameful. And I think he finally spoke out because people everywhere stood up and said something. It's important for everyone, especially white people in this country, to speak out against this. Ignoring it is just as bad as supporting it.
The leader of our country is called the president because he's supposed to preside over our society. His job is to lead, to cajole, to scold, to correct our path, to lift up what is good about us, and to absolutely and unequivocally and immediately condemn what is evil in us. And if he does not do that, if he does not preside over our society, then he is not a president. You can stand for a nation or you can stand for a hateful movement. You can't do both. And if you don't make the right choice, I'm confident that the American voter will.
He's known for criticizing things. If only the president was as mad about neo-Nazis murdering people in the streets as he's been about Hillary Clinton, the New York Times, CNN, Joe Scarborough, Kristen Stewart, the cast of Hamilton, Diet Coke, Nordstrom's not selling his daughter's clothes.
Well, changing gears to a story a little closer to home, one of the most iconic landmarks in Halifax, the old clock tower, captures the attention of tourists and locals alike. It's been in operation for over 200 years, and it's been helping people keep track of time. Or does it? The CBC's Elizabeth Chu has more.
Hey!
At the Halifax Citadel National Historic Site, a team of reenactors is preparing to fire the cannon.
Turn number 1!
In downtown Halifax, locals know the boom means it's noon. But in the shadow of the fort, the old town clock chimed 12 o'clock, about 5 minutes earlier. So, which is accurate? The blast from the cannon or the clock that says it's a little past 12?
NRC, Eastern Daylight Time.
The cannon team syncs their watches with the official atomic time.
9 hours, 38 minutes, and 40 seconds.
And making sure that everyone in Halifax knows that we're on time all the time.
And what about the clock? We climbed steep ladders into the heart of the clockwork. This is a giant grandfather clock. Weights, wires, gears, and gravity move the hands of time. With 1803 technology, there's no battery. So to keep it running, workers wind it regularly. Cranking it takes some muscle. Turns out that's the wrinkle in time.
The catch is that every week when we wind the clock, which is what keeps it going, it actually sort of stops that process momentarily, which then kind of sets the time of the clock off.
That's a surprise to people who walk by it all the time.
Look at that! I did not know that at all.
I assumed if it was working, it would be on time.
A few minutes, that's a lot for somebody who's trying to be on time.
Yeah, so I mean, I'd recommend look at your cell phone, I guess, if you're really wanting to be right to the very minute.
Visitors to the city didn't seem to mind this old clock quirk.
I guess as long as you know it's 5 minutes early or late, then you could still use it.
At the end of the day, who cares that it doesn't keep the correct time? I'm sure it's 11:30 somewhere in the world.
Old-time technology that will continue to stand the test of time. Elizabeth Chu, CBC News, Halifax.
Well, almost 400 bodies have been pulled from the rubble of a devastating mudslide in Sierra Leone. The number of dead is expected to rise as hundreds more are still missing. The mudslide tore through a town outside the capital, Freetown. A mass burial set for today is an effort to free up space in morgues that have been overwhelmed with bodies. At least 3,000 people are now homeless.
Well, the grizzly bear trophy hunt will come to an end in British Columbia, but not before hunters get one more chance this season. BC's new NDP government says the ban will take effect November 30th. That's after this year's season, which opens today.
But conservationists are worried about a loophole in the ban. Hunters will still be able to kill the bears for meat. Of the 250 grizzly bears hunted in the province each year, it's not known how many are killed for meat and how many are killed for trophies.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Notorious swashbuckler Captain Jack Sparrow has landed on the west coast of Canada.
Do you know which way is the hospital?
Johnny Depp reprised one of his best-known roles to surprise patients at the BC Children's Hospital in Vancouver. He's in Vancouver filming a new movie. He met one-on-one with some of the kids, ranging in age from newborns to teens, for more than 5 hours, and he reportedly didn't break character once during the whole visit. Good for him.
Yeah, I'd say that pirate hijacked a few hearts.
Nice.
With that one.
Love to see that.
Yeah. Must be hard to keep character for 5 hours.
I would think so, yeah.
Wearing all that eyeliner.
Yep. Well, we have an update on a story of one rare bird that was believed to have been blown off course. This Bullock's oriole has bird watchers near Ottawa flocking to catch a glimpse, and bird lovers rallied to get her back to her home province of British Columbia. And after much paperwork and red tape, she's packing her bags and headed west. She'll be hitching a ride on an Air Canada flight tomorrow morning. For the famous bird, nothing less than business class. Flying in style, right?
Absolutely. When birds take flight, that is what a great
I don't remember birdseed being one of the optional meal options that when you're checking off their, you know, kosher or vegetarian.
A bowl of worms, please. Nice, nice story there. Okay, next 3 days. Tomorrow, definitely the peak of the next three, as temperatures will fall and the clouds and showers and even rain building in. Special weather statements in place for the Northern Peninsula, southeastern Labrador. That'll be one of the spots we see the heaviest rain. North coast of the island and central Newfoundland will be keeping an eye on that over the next 24 hours, as you folks may get into some heavier rain as well.
Wow.
We had breaching whale video earlier, but this is a fantastic picture of a whale breaching in New Harbour. Humpback highs, certainly. Fred Woodman, a great picture. Thank you very much for sharing it. On my Facebook page, you can do the same.
Wow, impressive.
Fully out of the water, like just almost all the way out there.
Amazing.
Been a great year for whales so far. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.